The bright lights reflect off the long rows of slot machines, illuminating the eager faces of visitors hoping to strike it big. Upbeat music and lively chatter fills the bustling casino floor. Over-the-top cocktail waitresses in flashy feather headdresses and sequined costumes flit about, carrying drinks between the blackjack and roulette tables. This is the glamorous and vibrant Flamingo Hotel of today, where fortunes are won each night beneath the glow of neon. But behind the excitement and opulence on display lies a story of ambition, crime, and a notorious mobster named Bugsy Siegel, who against all odds dreamed this very hotel into existence. Welcome as VoyageVault presents Glamour and Gangsters, the rise of the Flamingo Hotel. In this journey back to the 1940s heyday of mob-controlled Las Vegas, we'll learn how the luxurious Flamingo rose from the desert through a volatile clash of flashy celebrity and the dark underworld whence its financing came. Who exactly was the man behind this grand vision for a luxury desert oasis called the Flamingo Hotel and Casino? Benjamin Bugsy Siegel entered the world in 1906, born to poor Jewish immigrants, struggling to survive in New York's gritty tenements and garment factories. Though bright and ambitious from his earliest years, young Siegel was drawn less towards formal education and more towards the easy money and glittering success promised by neighborhood criminals and mafia crews. By his early 20s, the charismatic but volatile Siegel had grown into an integral player within the organized crime underground through bootlegging, extortion, and his special skill at assassination. Alongside close childhood friends, Meyer Lansky and Charlie Lucky Luciano, he amassed wealth through New York's criminal rackets, while also relishing the high society lifestyle, hobnobbing regularly with celebrities and Hollywood stars. But as the 1930s drew toward a close, Siegel hungered for even greater prestige and influence outside the traditional Eastern Mafia system he'd risen up within. Why remain satisfied running a dark empire rooted in mere fear and shadows when his ambitions envisioned so much more? Out west, on the bright, unbounded vistas of the Nevada desert where gambling had just been legalized, Bugsy Siegel saw the potential for a spectacular kingdom uniquely his own. Far from the daily grind of mob hits and shakedowns back east, this would be a towering neon pleasure palace where the Hollywood elite would frolic in luxury beside mafia overlords. An outrageous vision, but one he became obsessed with realizing by any means necessary. His criminal investors scoffed. The plan was simply too grandiose, even for a newly wide-open town like Las Vegas, and too expensive to boot. But Siegel's fervor could not be denied. Through the sheer hypnotic force of his personality and powers of persuasion, he managed to cobble together just enough financial backing, political influence, and hope to begin construction on this personal Xanadu, his Flamingo Hotel and Casino. From these unlikely beginnings, the extravagant Flamingo would rise like a miraculous bird out of the empty sands. But Siegel's path was littered with peril, both from rivals skeptical of his ambitions and his own unreliable temperament. Let's learn more about the mounting costs, complications, and unrest that plagued the Flamingo project from its earliest days next. Constructing Siegel's grandiose vision on the remote Nevada desert site proved even more challenging than anticipated from the very start. Attempting such an enormous luxury resort in the middle of nowhere during a wartime shortage of staff and supplies seemed implausible. Early on, various setbacks plagued the project site, from delayed shipments of construction materials to teams of workers outright quitting in droves due to the brutal desert heat and inhumane working conditions. The costs involved rapidly spiraled out of control as well, infuriating Siegel's skeptical mob investors back east. But Siegel remained fixated on spectacle over budgets, insisting the Flamingo had to eclipse every other property in town through extravagant amenities alone. Defiant as always, iconic innovations like central air conditioning and an enormous swimming pool were integrated into the blueprints, with no thought to swelling expenses sure to come. However, as the multi-year construction dragged interminably on, tensions with the mob reached dangerous new highs, along with the ever-ballooning costs. Until finally, after 2 long years beset by delays and cash hemorrhages, opening night arrived on December the 26th, 1946. Eager crowds descended, expecting to be dazzled at last by Bugsy's desert marvel. That excitement quickly turned to outrage. With amenities still half-finished, the Flamingo's heating system failed completely against the winter chill. Icy rooms could not even retain heat from their lighting fixtures. Combined with far too few slot machines on the gambling floor to meet demand, the launch became a calamity. The public and mob alike fumed at Siegel's perceived ineptitude and gross mismanagement. The consequences for the Flamingo visionary would prove severe. In truth, Bugsy Siegel had never envisioned the Flamingo as his singular project. From the earliest planning stages, he secured financial backing from various East Coast mafia factions. Millions poured in from New York's Luciano family and beyond, contingent on the Flamingo becoming more mob co-venture than Bugsy's personal flagship resort. Initially, this syndicate model meant relative peace between Siegel and investors. That is until infamous construction delays, runaway expenses, and resource mismanagement sparked doubts about his competency. While Siegel obsessed on glitzy flourishes, his mob partners fumed over depleted ROI projections. Accusations flew that Bugsy was in over his head and siphoning Flamingo funds besides. Tensions turned overtly hostile in the aftermath of the chaotic December 1946 opening night. With amenities half-finished, losses compounding, and profits vanishing, open talk of mutiny against Siegel swirled amongst the impatient mafia financiers. Incessant calls came for Bugsy's removal from atop the crumbling Flamingo empire he had defiantly built. Weary of excuses, the East Coast mafia bosses allegedly turned to Meyer Lansky, Bugsy's childhood friend turned resentful rival according to speculation. Lansky had long coveted being the true face of the Vegas mafia power instead of playing second fiddle. Jealousy, wounded pride, greed sealed Bugsy's fate at last. Determined to violently seize control of the Flamingo before it collapsed entirely, the syndicate supposedly sent hitmen to Virginia Hill's home, where Bugsy's life ended in a hail of bullets on June 20th, 1947. But the true parties behind organizing the assassination plot targeting Siegel remain shrouded in mystery and speculation to this day. His perceived rivals and critics in the mob got their wish that June night with Bugsy out of the picture permanently now. But could the deeply troubled Flamingo still be salvaged in the aftermath? In the power vacuum following Bugsy Siegel's 1947 assassination, the Flamingo and its mob stakeholders stood at a crossroads. Rumors of the luxury resort's imminent shutdown ran rampant. But by 1948, Siegel's former partner Meyer Lansky emerged on top in the scramble for control. Assuming the Flamingo's presidency, Lansky recruited fellow mob heavyweights in a bid to rapidly revitalize Bugsy's brainchild at long last. Where Siegel had chased flash above all else, his successors practiced pragmatism first. Lansky streamlined operations around profit-making gaming and entertainment prospects only. Within months, his oversight transformed the Flamingo into the sleek money-making machine investors had craved, but which Bugsy failed to ever deliver. Yet for all the power struggles and changes in management, much of Siegel's creative vision and DNA within the Flamingo strangely endured long after his demise. Yes, the mob ordered renovations to wipe away Bugsy's fingerprints on surface aesthetics and decor. But at its core, the Flamingo marveled guests much as Bugsy imagined during his starry-eyed planning phases years prior. Only through his ambition was such decadent luxury even possible amidst a desolate frontier landscape. In time, the Flamingo's against-the-odds prosperity reignited Siegel's initial dream: spurring insatiable demand for yet more resort development, expanding Vegas's famous strip. Ambitious imitators sought to replicate or outshine the fantasy made real he had stubbornly pioneered in the Nevada desert. Long after his views clashed with impatient investors, Bugsy Siegel's true legacy was proving the possibilities of vice tourism to hordes of newcomers. Las Vegas itself flourished in the Flamingo's wake, a shimmering, lawless adult playground custom-built to fulfill the desires of pleasure seekers worldwide. An industry was born through his visionary spark. Though the Flamingo endured a tumultuous beginning steeped in mob drama decades ago, today it stands as a staple Las Vegas luxury destination along the Strip. Having blossomed from Bugsy Siegel's doomed dream into a thriving icon under successor Meyer Lansky's pragmatic touch, remarkably few structural traces remain from the Flamingo's early incarnations. Lansky ordered extensive renovations during his 1950s presidential tenure to expand profit centers and wipe away remnants of Bugsy's lavish missteps. Yet while mob successors obscured surface traces of the Flamingo's fiery birth after Siegel's notoriety was inconvenient, mythic tales of the hotel's raucous origins permeated popular culture for generations. The landmark 1960 film Ocean's 11 reminds viewers of those lawless formative days. Fictional tales like Bugsy, 1991, dramatized Siegel's outrageous vision despite a tenuous grip on realities. Throughout the decades, the glamour and excess exemplified by the Flamingo shaped artistic interpretations of the emergent phenomenon known as Las Vegas. That legend occasionally sparked renewed interest in the physical property itself as well over the years. Some past hotel expansions quietly incorporated Art Deco callbacks to Bugsy Siegel's era, alongside ever more extravagant amenities. Yet these days, few guests gambling away fortunes below the Flamingo's neon-bright facade connect its opulence to a defiant mobster's last stand decades prior. Siegel would surely approve of the long-term profits, yet undoubtedly bristle, as during his reign, at dignity infringements wrought by later corporate owners. For today, the once crowning gem of his imaginary fiefdom plays a smaller role as just one tower amidst the vast Caesar's Palace network. From the perilous yet glamorous dream of notorious mobster Bugsy Siegel in the 1940s desert emerged this thriving legacy resort we now know as the Flamingo. An oasis that set the pace for the Las Vegas Strip as we know it today. Against all odds, Siegel's defiant vision provided a glamorous playground for gambling, vice, and pleasure-seeking, even as dangerously mounting costs created backlash from impatient mafia investors in those frontier days. We witnessed drama and conspiracy ultimately claim Bugsy's life only for his creative DNA to persevere through successors like Meyer Lansky. Today, glimpses of that tumultuous origin story live on through Flamingo mythos and lore as new generations frolic mostly unaware below Bugsy's glowing neon paradise. But how might our perceptions shift knowing the full history of this one landmark's fiery rise? Now that we've traced that incredible evolution firsthand, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave your thoughts on our voyage through time. This is VoyageVault signing off.